My name is Ken Bailey. I'm a professor of New Testament. It was my privilege to grow up in the Middle East and also to teach New Testament there for 40 years, 10 years in Egypt, 20 years in Lebanon, and 10 years in Jerusalem. Our focus is the great parable of Jesus of Nazareth called the story of the prodigal son. Actually, when we look at it in the light of the culture of the Middle East, there are a series of points at which we need to get a sharper focus on the story because we have perverted part of it by misunderstanding it. I'd like to talk very briefly to 4 points that need critical revision. The first one is the young man in the story asks for his inheritance while his father is still alive. We think this is just a young man going off into the big city to make his fame and fortune. But actually, in our Middle Eastern world, this means, Dad, why don't you drop dead? And the father is supposed to take his left hand and hit the kid across the face and drive him out of the house. He doesn't. He grants the freedom to reject love, the ultimate freedom that can be given to the human spirit. The boy goes into the far country. He loses the money. He ends up feeding pigs, hoping to earn money so that he can pay the money back, but he can't do it because they don't pay him anything. They feed him but don't pay him. And then the text says he came to himself. And we have for a very long time in the Western tradition decided that that meant he repented. Actually, that phrase only occurs one more time in the entire New Testament, and that's in the book of Acts, where Peter is in prison and an angel comes and gets him out of prison, and he thinks it's a vision or a dream or something. The angel leaves him on a street corner somewhere, and then it says he came to himself. That is, he figured out this is for real. Thereby, that phrase has nothing to do with repentance. It merely means he hung up a mirror in front of himself and figured out, here's how I'm going to solve the problem. This happens in quite a number of times in the parables of Jesus, where the main figure comes to the middle of the story, has a problem, and then figures out how he's going to solve the problem. That's what this fellow does. He figures out, I'm going to get a job at home, have my dad send me off for job training, and I'll work hard and I'll be able to pay the money back. He's not repenting. He's merely saying, I can handle this problem. The only issue is the money. If I can get that money paid back, I'm going to be okay. He starts back confident that this problem is going to be solved by him by a lot of hard work after he gets a job. His father knows the issue is not the money, the issue is the broken relationship, the agony of rejected love. So in the story, the father ran down the road to greet the boy while he's still outside of town. The town is going to beat up on him because he wanted his father to drop dead and now he's lost the money. So the father runs down the road, embraces him and kisses him, and suddenly, as he receives this great outpouring of costly love, the boy decides, I can't make up for what I've done. The issue is not the money, the issue is the broken heart. And thereby, there at the edge of the town, we find him authentically repenting, accepting the love that is offered to him, and not saying, my bright ideas will solve the problem. The final problem where we have a misunderstanding of the story is they then have a party. What is the party all about? The father says the party is because my son was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. Therefore, the father is saying he was lost at the edge of the village and I have found him. The older son comes in from the field, and a little boy tells the older son, the party is because your father is reconciled to the son. The older son himself doesn't accept that, and he shouts at his father and says, you killed for him the fatted calf. He didn't. The party is in celebration of the success of the father's efforts to restore his boy. And that's what the parable is all about. The costly love of God which comes to us in self-emptying humiliation to call us back in reconciliation to himself.